We are a space that prides ourselves on letting the kids be in control of the narrative. It always goes back to that critical question, what are the kids getting out of this? My name is Damien Davis. I'm the guest curator here at the Sugar Hill Children's Museum of Art and Storytelling. I'm really excited to be presenting 3 new exhibitions and a 4th presentation in the lobby. The first one is a show by Deborah Willis called Meditations. And then we have a second show by Rachel Owens called The Hypogean Tip.
I make sculpture for the most part, and I work in all kinds of materials. The show is called The Hypogean Tip, and hypogean means what's underneath the earth. So I'm kind of playing with that word, using it both literally in the case of the coal pieces, and then also sort of as a metaphor, speaking about this pretty radical kind of multi-ethnic enclave, which was located on the south side of Bridgeport, Connecticut in the 1820s. I think it's a really amazing story as a narrative to learn about these really radical people who were doing something super powerful at a time that maybe the kids can't even quite comprehend historically.
I've been a photographer for over 40 years. I was invited by a professor at NYU to create a project that related to Joan Baez's last album. And he asked me to think about what song I'd like to respond to visually. And I said, I really love the song The Civil War. I wanted to talk to a dancer, involve a choreographer. We talked about the idea of embracing loss. How do you imagine it with the body and movement? The other project is the Clothesline project. I've been fascinated with Clothesline as a photographer, and the notion of community of women talking over the fence, sharing stories. And then I wanted to use the portraits of the women that I found in historical places.
I taught middle school for many years. And when I decided to work with the flowers, it's actually because I began to create projects that my students will actually gift their moms for Mother's Day. I hope that when people see the flowers, that they don't recognize that they are from the dollar store, because they are from the dollar store. But when you take them apart and you take all these different petals and reconfigure them, they completely change. Art is about transforming, and so you transform a material and you give it a new life, and it has a new breath and a new energy. It's going to be springtime, and I felt it's such a beautiful way to kind of introduce what's happening out in the natural world to actually bring it in to the museum as well.
Here in the living room, we have our group exhibition called Face to Face, which features 4 artists: February James, Nina Chanel Abney, Hakeem Olayinka, and John Rivas. For someone who's 4 years old, who's been living with COVID for the majority of their life, we're having to grapple with the long-term effects of having the face obscured. So all the artists in this show, in one way or another, deal with abstraction of the face.
I'm very intrigued on how people are built based off what their parents passed down to them and what their parents' passed down to them. Understanding these things and how they build or shape me as an individual. My work it's kind of like a diary. There are like kind of oral history or based off photos. The objects itself are like things I thrift, pass it down, I find it on the street. Like once a month I go around my neighborhood looking for stuff on trash day, giving it a second life and using it in my work.
I started from self-portraits and showing my emotion through like abstracting myself. A lot of my practice revolves around the collision between painting and sculpture. I made the first one before the pandemic, but I feel like it kind of related to my time during the pandemic. Having to be quarantined, I was forced to be a voyeur. And I want the question of like, what is being viewed? What are the figures behind the planks looking at? Why do they have those expressions?
We're a museum that, in my opinion, just sort of celebrates how smart kids are. They're infinitely curious, they're open, they're willing, all the things that if we sort of relearned how to do, maybe we'd become better at building the world the way that it should be.